speaking of their hypocrisy, and we know how Sabur Ahmed, who is so chicken shit scared that despite of my numerous calls for a healthy conversation, he's been running away. Wouldn't want to talk to me because he knows what happened to what what happened with Hakikachu's policy, his strategy. He ended up doing more damage to Islam than I or any of us ex-Muslims could do. We actually made the world listen from the horse's mouth. Pardon the pun. But Sabur Ahmed was also being his cheerleader and saying that, oh, yeah, human rights is extremism. The infidel West is horrible. Liberal values are terrible. Sharia is the way to go, etc. And I just told you that how China is actually following Sharia's principles. Let's talk about Sabur Ahmed, yeah? So Sabur Ahmed, who was being a cheerleader, who was cheering what's his name? Daniel Hakikachu. That human rights is extremism, liberal values are horrible, secularism, Western values, everything's bad, Sharia is the way forward. But look at this. At the same in the wake of this recent demonstration that they did in front of the Chinese embassy, look at some of the series of tweets that Sabur Ahmed made. He said China is violating the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and there has still not been any strict action taken against it. Stand for Uyghurs. So why are you appealing for international human rights, the Charter of Human Rights that you don't even value? Why are you appealing to that? And who are you asking for a strict action? Who? So you want Sharia, which is totally opposite to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And then you don't agree with the countries who propagate, according to these guys, they say that, oh, United States aggressively opposes its values of human rights on other countries like Iraq or Afghanistan or all these Muslim countries. That's their worldview. Well, now you're kissing the ass of United States and United Kingdom to take strict action against China for you? Why should they do that? Obviously, they're not going to do that. Look at this one. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of the intending spouses. Oh, really? What happened to sex slaves? What is the Quranic verse? Let's have a look at the Quranic verse. What does your Quran say? This is what the Quran says. Let's have a look. Surah Nisa, chapter 4, verse 24. And also prohibited to you are all married women, except those your right hand possesses. So if you win them in a battlefield, they're free game. You can have sex with them. Or in other words, you can rape them. So again, we are consistent. We agree with the UN human rights, and I agree with the second statement, but you don't. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of the intending spouses. But Islam is against that, and so is China. So China is on your side. The only difference is that China is doing to your community what you've been proposing for to do to the to the non-Muslim community. And if shoe was in the other foot, you'd be actually supporting that. So next point. So you say, okay, well, and he actually calls me the white apologist, like a Gora complex. He calls me. Call it whatever you want. I can call it Arab complex, but you are now appeasing to the same Goras that you despise so much. So have a look at this one. 37 countries defend China over Xinjiang in the UN letter. Guess what were those 37 countries that were defending China? They were saying, well done, China, do this to Uyghur Muslims. Guess who were those 37 countries? I don't know, maybe Australia, maybe United Kingdom, United States, France, Germany, maybe those ones. No, these were the countries that were actually supporting China. Joint declaration, 45 countries in support of China were Angola, Bahrain, Belarus, Burundi, Cambodia, Cameroon, okay, China, Congo, Cuba, Egypt, Muhammad Hijab's country, What are the other Muslim countries? Myanmar is not a Muslim country. Pakistan, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, South Sudan, Sudan, Syria, the UAE. These are the countries that are supporting China's treatment of Uyghur Muslims. And guess the countries, the evil Western countries, the hypocrite Western countries. They're the ones who actually condemned China. Guess what are those countries? Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Iceland, Ireland, so many others. Norway, New Zealand, Netherlands, United Kingdom, and the United States, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland. All these countries are standing up, not because they're Muslims or Hindus or whatever, but because they're logically consistent. They respect the human rights, the very human rights you actually don't respect. So this is one of the stupidest takes I have ever seen from anyone on. Can you see this, Nuria? Like, I mean, am I missing something here? Or, I mean, these guys are supposedly hijab's fanboys tell us he's got, like, I don't know, 10 bachelor's degrees and 3 master's degrees, and Subboor Ahmed has got one PhD, he's a PhD candidate. These guys are some academic geniuses out there, but they can't even follow their own logic more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I think only religion, that level of being like, so you have to just believe one thing is going to make you think that way. How are you saying that, and like human rights that the West actually sticks by? Well, not all the time, but I mean, like in theory, they
in theory, at least they recognize it. That's one step, yeah.
Exactly, and you're saying that that's not the best system that you think is for society. You want Sharia, where there are literally no human rights. And then you want to call out China for their abuse on the same human rights that you think are a waste of time. And also, isn't it interesting that none of these, as you mentioned, where's the Islamic solidarity? Where's the Islamic brotherhood? Where's that ummah, like how do you say ummah in English? I don't know, but that whole sense
community.
Of community, yeah. Because it's so interesting that now you're relying on Western countries, and those are the only ones really that are calling out these human rights abuses. It's not your own people, it's not your own country, it's not your fellow Muslims. And then you realize it all comes back to the fact that politics and economics trump religion at the end of the day for most of those countries. I mean, Pakistan is so heavily in bed with China. They can't, we've called out Imran Khan's hypocrisy for not calling out. I mean, what's that silly statement he made that, oh, this is a conversation we'll have behind closed doors? And it's just such a silly take, because nothing is happening behind closed doors. You're basically saying, okay, yeah, China, will keep absolutely schmuck because we need you and you're doing great things for our country, economically speaking. And that's the same thing with the GCC. Why the hell would they care? They don't care to. It's actual genocide taking place. And where is the Muslim outrage for it?
Yeah, and but again, fair enough. These guys are outraged, so that's fair enough.
I condemn that. I actually agree with the fact that they stood up actually in public and spoke about this, because where was the outrage before this? This is a silent genocide that's been taking place for a while now.
They've been doing that, but Muslim countries are not. But what we're focusing on is that they remember human rights when it comes to Uyghur Muslims, but they don't remember human rights when it comes to non-Muslims, when it comes to LGBTQ, when it comes to apostates. Have a look at Apostate Prophet put together this this excerpt, those golden moments of Pikachu.
Heku says, under Sharia, Muhammad was allowed to marry Aisha when she was 6. Would this be allowed under your system, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that many cultures practice to this day. And it's based on this biological reality. They're trying to maximize the fertility of women because they want to have more children.
So he doesn't care about the human rights at this point, yeah?
No.
So the Human Rights Charter is also against child marriages, yeah?
Yeah.
Because
children. Well, in that sentence, he's just snatched away, a child's entire childhood. He's already endorsed like abuse against children.
And here, Subboor Ahmed is is highlighting the very fact marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of the intending spouses. So what consent a 9-year-old
Yeah.
child does have. So
It's not
Subboor,
possible.
it's not possible. So there you go. Hypocrisy number one. Let's carry on.
And this is basically the way that evolutionary psychologists explain it. And I'm not promoting evolution, but
There you go. Does it again. Uses evolution, but doesn't agree with
slip up.
evolution.
these are people that you would respect, or other atheists. They say that it's actually to an evolutionary advantage to maximize the fertility window, so you have as many children as possible, because women only have about 25 to 30 years of fertility. If they wait until they're 25 or 30 or 35 to get married and have kids or have sex, then that means they'll only have maybe 1, maximum 2 children. But this will allow extinction.
So basically his argument was, if you don't do child marriages and you wait long enough, then human race will go to extinction. That's his argument. Now, this is some earth-shattering,
I mean, can you imagine
groundbreaking.
if like standard feminists all around the world heard this? They would be coming for him. Like,
But they
how,
won't, because
and
he's a
also,
Muslim. Look at the skull cap.
yeah, no, exactly. That's why we have to sit here and do this, because we can call it out. But yeah, I honestly just feel like stamping the words "no uterus, no opinion." Just shush.
Yeah.
Extinction of the population, and for the people to be wiped out. And this is why you find it in so many societies in the pre-modern period. Secular atheist psychologists say that no, it can't be considered a dysfunction because it is practiced in these societies. It's evolutionarily adaptive, so it's not pedophilia or the practices of modern pedophilia.
Like how there's pedophilia, etc. Yeah, Islam just legalizes pedophilia. I turn her into a baby-making machine. I'm disgusting.
Widely in the world, and even many cultures today, I showed you that this is something that is practiced pretty widely in the world, and even many cultures today, they practice it. Women actually naturally want to have children. This is a natural biological function, and people have been doing it for all of human history. It's only human rights extremism.
Human rights extremism. That's the part that I wanted to show you. Human rights extremism. So human rights tell you that protect children, don't marry them off. And he's saying that, Subboor Ahmed now here appealing to human rights, appealing to consent of individuals. And his brother, Hakikachu, who Subboor Ahmed agrees with, says that if China is following Hakikachu's logic, no consent is necessary. Hakikachu says that women like to produce children. So, well, that's what if Chinese are doing according to Islamic value of sex slavery, using women, women as baby-making machines, which is perfectly legal in Sharia. That's what China is doing. So China is actually following Sharia values. This is the reason why he did not call out for Islamic or Sharia values. He called and he appealed to human rights. Imagine if he had said, "We want the Uygher women to be treated according to Islamic values." The China would be like, "Okay, problem solved. We're doing exactly what you say we should do." Right? We've taken your women as sex slaves. We're making babies out of them.
Well, they're sterilizing
just like
them.
how you said.
Yeah. In this case.
Or the treason apostasy argument that we are re-educating them to swear allegiance to us, and if you don't do it, we're gonna kill you. These are literally Sharia Islamic values that China is applying. The only difference is China is doing that to Muslims instead of Muslims doing that to Chinese.
Yeah.
All right. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.